Councillor Beth?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Hamilton?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Rocky?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Bob?
Your Worship, under 910, I'd like to add Facebook. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion for adoption. Administration, sorry.
We have one item.
He never had anything.
Yes, Your
Forget
Worship.
delete.
Can we delete item 9.2 from the agenda, please?
Thank you.
Move to accept the agenda as amended.
All in favor? Carried. No public hearing. 4.1. Committee of the whole meeting, page 3.
Your Worship, I move the adoption of the August 3rd, 2011 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, rather.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I would move the adoption of the August 3rd, 2011 regular council meeting minutes.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. 5.1, AUA, page 17.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll take that one. First, I'll apologize to Dwight for keeping secrets. I don't normally do this, but I'd just like to read a letter out from AUMA. Dear Mr. Stanford, I am pleased to advise that you have been chosen to receive the 2011 AUMA SLGM Dedicated Chief Administrative Officer Award. This award recognizes the dedication to municipal government and chief administrative management. You were selected by the Executive Committee of AUMA and the Society of Local Government Managers that uphold high standards and a very in-depth calculation and scoring system. Congratulations on your accomplishments, and I look forward to seeing you at the convention. Yours truly, John McGowan, AUMA CEO.
Well, thank you.
I think the letter says it all, Dwight. It really does, truly, and thank you very much. No delegations. 7.1, public hearing date, page 23.
Your Worship, I move that Council set a public hearing date for October 5th, 2011 in accordance with Policy 6101.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw 1122, page 25, 7.2. No other people can make motions, it's quite all right.
I move that council give first reading to bylaw number 11-22.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
I move the council refer bylaw number 11-22 to the public hearing scheduled for October 6th, 2011.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Six. 7.3. Hope Community Covenant Church land use redesignation, page 31.
I move the council give first reading to bylaw number 11-21.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I would move that council refer bylaw 11-21 to the public hearing scheduled for October 5th, 2011.
You all heard the motion? Okay. All carried.
Just want to through the chair to administration. We're on page 23. We made a motion to hold a public hearing on October 5th. That includes anything that would be referred to that public hearing. We don't need a public hearing for each.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
8.1 Canadian Retail Forum, page 41. I decided not to go to that one. It's just a one-day event, and as far as I'm concerned, I couldn't get enough out of it. So I request that I not go to that one by council.
In that case, Your Worship, I move that council accept the report on the ICSC Canadian Retail Forum for information purposes only.
You want heard motion? Or that was a motion or not?
Was.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. 9-1 Alberta Culture and Community Spirit Stars of Alberta Volunteer Award Program, page 47.
Your Worship, I move that council accept the request for nominations from the Stars of Alberta Volunteer Awards Program for information purposes only. I would imagine that if anyone wishes to nominate anyone, they can contact administration for the proper information.
Just one question to administration. What does that entail? What is that? What is that?
Your Worship, this is to thank volunteers in your community for their generous efforts to contribute to quality of life.
The Stars, is that nothing to do with Stars?
No, Your Worship, this is through the Government of Alberta Culture and Community Spirit.
Okay, thank you. Was that?
And the application, there's a nomination form there, so if anybody from council or anyone else wishes to nominate a volunteer, then I would suggest they'd be most welcome to. As far as this council is concerned, I would suggest that we or move that we just accept this for information.
All in favor? Carried. 9-3. Jesse, fill us in. Minchuk. Oh, okay, sorry.
Good evening, Your Worship.
Yes.
Here for this agenda item to discuss the municipal HVAC tender that we had put out in the summer of 2011, basically since May. Through to August 18th, we had tendered the HVAC services here, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contract for the town facilities here locally. Basically, in the past, we've had two contracts, one for all facilities other than the aquatic center, and the aquatic center was managed through Convergent Engineering, and all other facilities were managed with Carmichael Engineering. So we've identified that there'd be an opportunity for us to consolidate the two contracts into a single contract and go out for a tender on all HVAC services for the municipal facilities as a single contract. The tender closed in August, as I mentioned, and basically we received a number of tenders. I believe it was almost eight tenders. Those ranged, the high tender was $45,960 annually for the quarterly maintenance and service, or not including service calls, but regular quarterly inspection. And the low tender was $9,420 annually for the same scope of work. So there was a real significant delta between the high and the low, which we were quite surprised by, given that the scope was fairly clearly outlined. And there were a number of contractors that visited the sites and walked through the facilities and saw the actual scope of work for themselves. The low tender was actually our incumbent, or one of our incumbents, in Carmichael Engineering. Carmichael are very familiar with the facilities that they've been providing these services in, and as a result, when we saw that they were the low bidder and that they had the best understanding of the scope of work, we were pleasantly surprised with that result. We're quite satisfied with their work to date as well on the existing facilities. And they've been very responsive for service calls outside of the normal scope of work for these quarterly inspections as well, and we've been pleased with their service. And Chuck, has any thoughts on
Yeah, This is a fairly close number, but you also have to understand that $9,000 will probably end up looking more like about the $12,000 number that we've been getting on an annual basis from Carmichael due to service calls, that kind of thing, for other HVAC equipment. You also have to understand too that by parachuting conversions out of the equation, we're probably going to see a savings of potentially almost $20,000 per year by doing this.
Does this handle air conditioning too, or?
Yeah, all HVAC.
And that would include the new air conditioning you put in the
Yes.
swimming pool?
Yeah.
And Carmichael are the installers of that.
Oh, great, yeah,
So they're very aware of it.
okay, yeah. Any questions of,
No, I don't have a question, Your Worship, but in all my years on council, Carmichael has been the person or the company doing this, and I've never heard anything but good things about them, and I'm glad to see that they did come in where they have, and that the administration feels that they would be the good company to go with again.
any further comments or questions? Officer Rocky?
Your Worship, to Jesse there, who would be the high tender?
I believe it was Gateway Mechanical.
They've never done anything around Scotland?
Not for our municipality.
I'm just amazed. I see this just about for the last year. We put these things out to tender. We get them here. We get them way up here.
Mm-hmm.
And this one between the low and the high there, that's 5 times difference.
It is, yeah.
We were very surprised. There was no rhyme or reason to any of the numbers. None of them were even close. There was that high tender, and then there was differences of $4,000 and $5,000 and $6,000 all the way down the line until Carmichael's tender.
Well, the older councilors, and you guys are familiar with it, and it meets the last 4 years, I mean, on average with it, so.
And they also gave out that exact same RFP. All the contractors have the exact same information. You're able to get the information for themselves, and if there was something missing.
Councilor Stoll, you have a comment?
No.
Looking for a motion?
Your Worship, I would move the council award the HVAC contract for municipal facility HVAC maintenance to Carmichael Engineering in the amount not to exceed $9,420, and that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the contract on behalf of the town.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Page 59, Eagle Lake Ditch.
Your Worship, I think we jumped over page 53. Is that when it was closed?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Are we okay?
Yep.
Page 59.
Eagle Lake Ditch improvements. Your Worship, the Eagle Lake Ditch is basically the town's disposal of stormwater system. What was the previous to annexation boundary, their town boundary. The Eagle Lake Ditch goes south of Pond 6, basically right east of the wastewater treatment facility, follows the old CPR rail bed and the town Eagle Lake pathway to Eagle Lake. It's a WID owned and operated ditch within the town's right of way. And there are, I believe, a single, maybe a couple of irrigation units that are on that ditch, WID. We've run into a problem in the winter months with that ditch where we're discharging. We have a continual discharge of our stormwater in town, and basically we're discharging almost through a trickle out of the pond at Pond 6. And what happens is as that flows down the canal, it meets the drifted snow and all that kind of stuff, and builds an ice dam in the middle of the ditch. And then gradually the water rises in the ditch and spills the banks of the canal into the adjacent landowners. So we've identified that as an issue. What we're planning to do, I guess, from a town perspective, is we're going to be working to seal the discharge control structure at Pond 6 so that we can manage the flows. We'll have to release periodically because there is a constant stormwater into Pond 6. There's various groundwater and wells and things like that that discharge into the stormwater system even throughout the winter months. And so we're going to be taking that water and discharging it at a higher velocity in controlled methods so that if the canal bank is drifted, it's a higher velocity of water, not just a constant trickle that's freezing up. But we'll be assessing it at that time to determine if we need to take a hoe down there or whatever and clear out the snow if we anticipate that's going to create a problem. What this consists of is within the WID stormwater discharge agreement, there is an allowance, and we pay or collect a levy for stormwater discharge. That levy goes into a fund, and then that's managed through and with the WID for capital improvements impacting the town stormwater. The WID have recommended a project in the amount of $50,000 that would see them enter into the canal, remove what are called gabions. The gabions are just some control structures that are in there, and basically what it is it's just an enclosed structure that kind of drops the level of the water. It kind of acts as a bit of a waterfall just to keep some momentum of the water through the canal. They're not functioning the way that they should be. We'd like to remove those gabions and have a better velocity through there, as well as build the banks up in this problem area that we've identified adjacent to a couple of landowners down there that have had to suffer through some situations down there for the last years.
How many miles is that ditch?
Between here and Eagle Lake, so
3?
3, 4, yeah.
Are you sure if that's packed with hard snow, that if you open that up, that it's not going to flood every farmer and get all of them matted up instead of just one?
Well, we're going to have to assess it.
Very carefully.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. There's no way that we can seal it up for the winter and say, see you in the spring, we'll release you in March, right? There's just too much stormwater that comes into the system through the winter months. So through discussion with the WID and even within our agreement, there is an allowance for discharge, but we're working to try and come up with alternative means of release. And if that means that we have to hire a hoe with the WID to go down there and remove problem areas that we perceive, we may need to do that. But that's, again, through the agreement that we have with the WID, that specifically is in that.
Councillor Best.
Your Worship, through the chair to the Director of Engineering, the $50,000, that's joint funds, so that's not just coming from us, that's coming from both from WID and the town?
Your Worship, on every lot in town, when they're built, put in $500 per lot. So that money goes in to a trust account that the WID holds. So all this $50,000 is ours in their trust account. So between us and the WID, we decide how we're going to spend it.
It's our money that they're spending.
Yeah.
It's paid by the developer towards that funding.
I think, excuse me.
Councillor. Liv?
Through the chair to administration, I think it's $50,000 well spent to improve what we've been fighting there for years, and so I certainly have no problem with proceeding with that.
I realize you can't dump or store out stormwater for the winter. Is there a way of making that storm pond even bigger without too much effort?
It would be an effort.
What is it?
Yes, yeah, it would be. We actually, there was a rehab done, I believe, in 07 or 08, a significant one to enlarge it to the point that it is today. It would be a significant effort to further expand it, including building up berms and various other.
Because if this snow thing, I mean, I don't see that water. I mean, if there's 3 feet of snow for 3 miles, you're not going to, it won't rush it out. It just won't. I'm not an engineer, but.
Yeah, and there's some other, there are other things that we can do to try and manage some of the snow through there as well, whether that be trying to catch it further upstream with snow fences and things along those lines before it drifts into the canal banks and all that. But I guess to clarify, where the problem was occurring, it wasn't occurring anywhere else in the channel. It was one specific area.
Yeah, I was down there looking at it.
3 years.
Yeah.
If there was a snow problem otherwise, it would have collected in another area, I think.
Okay.
So we're going to try this, and we're confident that this will definitely help.
Thank you. Councillor Sybil?
I'm just trying to clarify, and obviously the details in regards to how the $50,000 is being spent, it's kind of light at this moment because you don't know what you're going to have to do to try to correct. Is that correct?
The scope of the work will basically be to go into the area and excavate the gabions out. So for those who haven't been in the area, the stretch of where we're incurring this problem, the stretch of the water body is very flat. There's virtually no gabions through that area to kind of continue release or acceleration of the water through there. So it's probably a kilometer almost of a very flat canal, and so that water is losing momentum, and then it's hitting this kind of ice dam and just backing up and up and up and into this ice. So what we're anticipating is if we deepen the canal through there, it'll keep some momentum through that specific area where we've had the problem, and allow that to discharge beyond that point into. We don't anticipate problems to be held below that because there are other gabions that take it at a better velocity through there. So, but it's basically to remove gabions upstream, deepen the canal, build the banks up a little bit.
That's the $50,000.
That's the $50,000.
And if that doesn't work, you'll be get back looking for more money for additional work.
Yeah, if that doesn't work, we'll be looking at an alternative solution.
Councilor Ramble?
Through the chair, to Councilor Sobel, I believe that it's not going to be money wasted because we'll definitely build up the banks, which will help from flooding the owners, I believe two owners in particular, that we've flooded their land. At times, and that should avoid that from happening again.
That's right.
And that could very easily save us a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Might be worth a lot more than $50,000.
Yeah, and just for council's information, this has been approved by the WID board as well. It's gone to the board previous and they approved it as a project.
Any more comments from administration? Any comments from council? Not, I'm looking for a motion.
I move that council approve the release of $50,000 from the WID and town joint stormwater capital fund for the purposes of improvements to the Eagle Lake ditch.
You all heard your motion. If there's no further comments, all in favor? Carried. 9-5 Wildflower Reservoir Engineering Tender Award, page 61. You guys are going to stay here. Go ahead.
Your Worship, the Wildflower Reservoir project is a significant project in the town's infrastructure here for potable water storage. We've got it planned in our capital planning project for 2012, the construction in 2012, and we've had the design plan in for commencing in 2011, obviously carrying in to 2012, with the engineering design as well as project management and post-construction services to be consistent throughout the project. So the tender that we've put out, we released, it was in July, the third week of July, and basically opened in August, consisting of the engineering design, project management, construction, and post-construction services for the Wildflower Reservoir project. The reservoir is a 10 megaliter reservoir that we're anticipating construction to commence in the spring of next year. Obviously to be discussed a little further at our workshop here in the fall, but currently with our 8,000 megaliters of storage that we have in town, that does not represent 2 days of storage. We currently do not have 2 days of storage in town for potable water. We have the water line from Calgary. The water line does provide water at a great volume and a good rate for supply. But in terms of storage, in the event of any kind of break or damage to the line, the town currently only has less than two days of storage, which gives us a very short time to respond and correct the problem with the line from Calgary, given that we have a single source. That's no different than obviously when we had the water treatment plant. We were still on a single source and we could only produce water a certain volume, so it's no greater risk. But the idea here is adding more than an average of, or getting to more than an average of 4 days of storage by adding a 10 megaliter service here in town. With the tender, we closed it in August. We received 9 tenders, And we established a review panel consisting of town staff as well as EPCOR staff and their EPCOR project management staff. As part of the review, we reviewed or required the applicants to achieve a score of better than 75% based on our rating, on their experience, management plan, schedule, cost controls, various project management controls. And then basically, it's any of those proponents that achieved a score of 75% or greater, we would open their pricing. Experience was scored out of 70% with pricing out of 30. We had 3 tenders that achieved a score of better than 75% that we felt based on their proposal. So we opened those 3 tenders and reviewed the pricing. Based on the pricing, just for information purposes, the high tender that we opened was $1,050,000, just over $1,050,000, and the low tender that we had opened was just under $800,000. So Associated Engineering was the engineering firm that achieved the highest combined score between experience and pricing for the services that they were offering. We completed a number of reference checks for Associated Engineering, and all the reference checks came back extremely positive, very well received, and very similar projects in scope. They cited a number of projects that were almost identical to the project that we're looking to complete here in town. So the feedback was excellent, and Associated are a very well-respected engineering firm in the Calgary area as well. So we're confident that the review process resulted in a very qualified candidate, and based on the points achieved for the cost as well, we're very impressed and happy with the cost that has been proposed for their engineering and project management services as well. So that's I guess a bit of a summary on the tender process.
If I may ask, I'm a bit confused about your tendering here. Did you only open the 3, or did you open all 9?
We only opened the 3. So as part of the tender process, it was deemed that we would only open the pricing information if we were confident that the experience and the, I guess their proposal was sufficient to justify us opening the pricing information.
So you don't know what the price on the other ones was?
We do not know what the pricing on the other ones are, no. And the reason behind that is we're talking about building this facility will be below ground. So it won't be open to the visible inspection type of, it's not an open air reservoir. We're talking about this being a very substantial underground facility. There's obviously a lot of consideration with that in terms of it not being readily available for inspection. So we are looking to have as much, I guess, reputation as well as experience in these types of projects to ensure that the design and then also on the project management and construction effort is managed accordingly. So there's a number of tenders that we received that we just simply do not have the confidence in. We would not feel comfortable awarding a tender of this magnitude to a number of the proponents that tendered on this effort, and their experience also was questionable. And
you didn't sell cars in your previous life, did you? Councilor Hamilton.
No, I was just curious. Can I ask what the percentage was, or is that confidential?
Percentage
For Associated.
Score was?
Yeah. Score.
Their score was, I believe, just under 83 out of a possible 120.
And on that same thought, can you divulge the percentage of the group that came in at just under 800,000?
That was just under 80.
Yeah,
It was close. It was very close.
Yeah.
Between 75 and 80?
Yeah. Associated came in head and shoulders above.
Councilor Reckle.
I have no problem with the way the tendering process was done. This, after all, is a project that's going to cost us millions of dollars, and there's no room for error on this one. And to hire somebody, just because they're, have a lower, came with a lower price, does not necessarily mean that it's going to be as good. This is something, like you indicated, we get one shot at it, and this $898,000, that's just the beginning of this project. You add another $10 million to it by the time it's finished. We can't afford to do this twice.
I agree, you must have told Kirk too. I still, what is the matter with opening them up? I just want to know, I mean, just for a peace of mind if nothing else, and what's wrong with opening them up and looking at
You
them?
also have to understand too that this is a tender process that's approved by the Alberta Construction Association, which I learned through doing some of the reference checks. The town of Taylor did the same process, and a lot of municipalities as well as large companies do this process just for the sake of potentially high-risk projects where they want to have the confidence in the engineering company that is going to meet or exceed their expectations before they open the cost envelopes. We don't want to put that much value in the cost to sway our decision toward going with a contractor that we potentially may not have confidence in, but we end up going with that contract because, hey, it's a great deal, but then we end up paying for that later on down the road through damages, through warranty, through lawsuits with local area residents, because let's face it, we're going to be going into a residential area. The last thing we want to do is lose 10,000 liters of water into somebody's backyard.
Just I guess further to that, last year we had tendered this project, and then unfortunately we made the determination that we weren't going to proceed with the engineering in 2010. Upon reviewing this was the same, or virtually the same tender, I guess, package or process that we had done in 2010, with the exception that we changed the rating. In 2010, we did an 80% experience, 20% cost. This year we did a 70% experience, 30% cost. Put a little more 10-point weighting on cost, and had a little more weight on that because we felt that cost was a little more significant, and based on the decision last year to put the project on hold, we felt that cost was a major consideration of that.
Councillor Best.
Just further to Mr. Rankis's comments, over the past few years, this council has seen projects where we have stepped forward and taken the lowest bidder, only to be scrambling to try and fix that situation later. I believe that the process that they've used this time, and with the due diligence of the background checks, I think that this is a very well done and ready to go process.
How many reservoirs does this company put in?
We had checked on, I think there was, I want to say 7 or 8 that they noted.
And the other companies never put a reservoir in?
They did. But like we were saying, that Associated Engineering came forward with the best quality portfolio, the most experience. There was a lot of companies that came forward with pipelines, water treatment plants, that kind of thing, and Associated came through with pump stations, reservoirs, very similar to the project that we're undertaking.
None of this has got any grant money?
Not at this point, no.
But it could?
There's a potential for, we're planning to apply for grant money in 2012.
My concern being is that, you know how that works, they would want to take the lowest tender.
Yes.
And are they going to demand a request why we didn't open them all to find the lowest tender?
That may apply more so to construction than the design and project management.
May, but you say may.
I don't know without knowing exactly what grant.
Which is also another risk, but at least if we opened them, we know. I know I'm getting not a lot of support, but I'm really concerned about the way we're doing this. I really am.
Well, I think that any grant we're going after is going to be in regards to construction anyway, Your Worship, is it not?
No, they said they may get some on this.
I guess with respect to that, we're not confident that we're gonna get any grant money. We're taking a shot at grant money. Looking at the last few years of grant money for water storage projects, in the last 3 years, I've seen a total of 3 projects awarded grant money for storage reservoirs out of hundreds. We're not confident that we're gonna get grant money. And that's why we haven't applied in the past. Because prior to 2010, I believe, there's virtually no reservoir projects awarded grant money. They were the responsibility of the town and of the developers as the town grows. And it was assumed that the town had sufficient storage for its growth through funding of offsite levies and things along those lines. And this is an offsite levy funded project.
Councilor Hamilton.
Maybe we should apply for a grant before the next provincial election. Throwing money all over the place, but I'd like to reflect what Councillor Gus said. I have all the faith in the system that he used and with the engineering department. And are you looking for a motion?
Well, just a minute, I've got one more question. And I know it's some short point, but are you telling me that?
All the tenders, huh?
Yeah, the first thing is, can you leave the other 7 tenders in my office, please? and secondly, is our dear friends, my dear friends from EPCOR getting 10% of this?
No.
What? You better talk to them about that.
The town is managing this project. This is not an EPCOR project managed project.
No, but you mentioned that they were helping you in the tender.
And they were doing us a favor and helping us out with the tender.
They're coming to the table if you're interested for it.
And just with your question on the number of reservoirs, there's over a dozen reservoir-specific projects in here of similar size and scope. This is the similar project file that was included in the tender. There's more than 30 pages.
How many underground?
Almost all.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
Looking for a motion? There's no other further questions.
I move the council award the Wildflower Reservoir Engineering Services contract to Associated Engineering in the amount not to exceed $898,158 that the mayor and CAO are authorized to sign the contract on behalf of the town.
On the motion, I'm going to call the, yes.
Question through the chair to Jesse. If we proceed with this, it sounds like we will proceed with the awarding the contract for the engineering or services for this reservoir. What's the time frame for the town once we award the contract as to when do we have to commence construction?
The schedule that Associated have indicated in here is a 2012 start. They basically, just bear with me here. With an award this evening, we'll actually be ahead of schedule based on the current schedule. But they see design starting on the 19th of September, which we would like to start earlier than that. With detailed design completing in February of 2012. We begin the tendering in January, end of January, tender through February or basically at the end of February, and start construction mid-April of 2012. Construction would be substantially completed in November of next year, which is a very aggressive time frame, but one in which Associated has some experience in doing. And so they're confident that we can have our reservoir up and running in the fourth quarter of 2012, which is at least months ahead of other Associated got very high marks for their schedule because it met a lot of our objectives for the project.
No, this is all fine and dandy. How are we going to fund this project?
Exactly.
Are we being a bit too eager to get started here?
Personally, I feel the risk that we have currently assumed is high. The storage that we have in town is, I don't feel, sufficient. As the town continues to grow, we're only assuming additional risk, in my opinion. So the more developments that come online, the more phases of development that come online, the more units that get built, the higher our consumption of potable water and the higher our daily demand goes. So in terms of the storage, the 8,000 megaliters that we currently have represents less and less days, or fewer and fewer days of storage. So I'd say, we've assumed a level of risk by I guess going below our average 2 days of storage. I wouldn't want to go any further than that.
Am I correct in assuming that this project is going to cost us in excess of $10 million?
In the ballpark of $10 million.
Yeah, and that is only to give us 2 additional days of water.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very hefty price to pay for 2 additional days of water.
Correct. Yeah. Getting us to a 4 average days.
And that's why I'm wondering if we're not seeing any development happening, and how we don't have any grant funding.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to? And we have to start construction in 2012, completed in 2012. Where's the money coming from?
And I agree with you, man, I was gonna bring those things up. Is that, okay, we did go with this tender and for the project, okay, the design. Is that good for forever, or if we decide not to go with the rest for 2 years or 3 years?
The pricing within the tender is valid until end of 2012. So the labor rates, and most of the cost of services for associated is labor. It's obviously project managers, designers, labor rate. So those rates are valid until the end of December.
No, but the cost of the design, which is $800 and some thousand, $90,000. If we do that design is once done, are you saying that's tied in with completion of the project? We have to give them the project complete, and
within our tender, we did have an allowance within there to only award elements of the scope of services. So if we award the entire, if we award the scope of services today and decide that we're not going to proceed with the construction element of this, that would be a discussion that we would have with Associated. But the design element, I feel, is still something that we're going to have to do anyway until such time as we're ready to.
What I'm asking is that let's do the design and put it on the shelf if we have to. We'll decide when we'll start construction. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're committing financial suicide here. We're putting our financial parachute on, jumping off the cliff and then putting the parachute on, and we just don't. It's wrong.
In terms of the design component of the tender is probably an 80% quantity of the tender. So the design perspective on it is about a $500,000 design, and then the project management element of it is the next 200 and 100 for post-construction type of an element, right? So there is a breakdown within the proposal that summarizes the various phases of the design and project management.
So what I'm asking directly is that if we go with the design of the project,
Yeah.
500 to 800,000 that you're just speaking of,
Yeah.
if we decide to shelve it for 2 years, is that design still going to be good?
Oh yeah, the design wouldn't change.
And
It would just be dependent on whether the town determined that 10 megaliters isn't sufficient, or something along. If the parameters of the design were to change, then the design wouldn't be valid. But if the design is such that it's fundamental to what would need to happen within the construction, then no, you can go take that off the shelf and build it.
do we have the money for the has that been budgeted?
We're okay for the design.
890,000. It's in the budget.
We're okay on that part. The other part, we haven't got the finances worked out for the construction.
So by awarding the design, we're not committing to the construction.
I said we were in a call.
We can unbundle the construction from the design.
How long does it take them to do the design?
That was when it was completed in February of 2012. So starting, it's about a 5-month exercise.
I can't remember, was there a motion on the floor?
Yes, sir.
Worship,
Yes.
through the chair to Jesse, back 7-8 years ago, I don't know, it might have been before your time, we had a major fire downtown. And I don't know how much water they used on this thing, but I do know they pumped water on it for close to 8 hours. If that was to happen again sometime this year, would that put us in trouble with the 2 days of water supply we got?
With our current...
The way it is right now?
Yes. Yeah. We have sufficient fire flow and storage capacity, but we would have to likely impose watering restrictions and things along those nature too.
As in using water on a daily basis, never mind outside water.
Correct.
So we have 2 days in the tank?
Less than 2 days.
How much in the line? Depending on where the break is.
Well, yeah.
If the break was at Calgary, we'd have what?
We estimated it at 4 days.
4 days in the line?
In the line, yeah. But if the break is
A mile out of town.
outside of town,
Yeah.
0 days. And in the discussions, we had a meter replacement that we did this year where we had to replace the meter at the city of Calgary. And we have a bypass ability through Chestermere. So even if a break occurs between Calgary and Chestermere, we have the ability to isolate the line between Calgary and Chestermere and backflow through Chestermere. And Chestermere have supported, you know, if that needs to happen to supply Strathmore with water, they're willing to support us with that. I guess on the east side of Chestermere, we don't have that backup line.
What I'm getting at, your worship, here is, I realize we're looking at a lot of money here, but a lot of people in Strathmore are not 100% happy relying on a pipeline coming out of Calgary to feed us the water. And if we don't have a backup system in place, or we can't get some more storage in place here somewhere, I'm not sure. There's a lot of unhappy.
I know, but if we have to borrow $10 million, you know, that's gonna put us about 108% in debt. I don't think we can afford that either.
Your worship, if there was, say, a major fire downtown, and if we ran out of water, I don't think we would. The previous fire chiefs have said they could pump from Kinsman Lake, because there's water in there.
In the middle of winter?
Pardon me?
In the middle of winter?
Sure, drill the hole.
Let's hope no other part of town burns.
Pardon me?
Let's hope no other part of town burns.
Hopefully it wouldn't be as big a fire.
This is a rock and a hard place. I mean, telling you, it's difficult for the taxpayers to assume this. On one hand, on the other hand, you know, we're in a dangerous situation also.
Would I be assuming correctly that this matter in regards to finance and ministerial will be a subject that will be brought up in the fall council meetings? Workshops.
Because Mel's working hard on it.
Yeah.
So far he's had.
Kind of assumed so, yeah.
Well, your worship, the $898,000 for the study, I think is this the study? Is this what this is? Okay, I mean, I think that part we can look at, but where are we going to?
That's where we stop, right? That's where we stop right now.
Yeah.
That's all we're doing tonight.
I hear you, but I agree with you, but for one thing, but I can just see this happening, and it's happened to us many times. We put it on, you know, we spend $890,000. We shell it for 2 or 3 years, and all of a sudden we decide we've got to redesign the plans, and there goes $890,000.
No, I'm confident that that's, unless the parameters were to change.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But I mean, a 10 megaliter reservoir is almost, you know, is almost double our current largest facility. So there may be some small changes required, but we're limited in this wildflower area in size and in space. You know, I believe that maybe a 3-acre parcel up there that we have to build on. So the reservoir can only be so big to begin with. And this, you know, I guess the next reservoir would be on the east side of town, right? We'd have one out on the east annex lands would be our next reservoir location. So this would be the west reservoir. We have the central reservoir in Brentwood and an east reservoir in somewhere out in the Eastlands. But we've identified that the west reservoir is a priority. Provide water to the west side of town, which is a current problem. There's a pump station to increase the pressure capability in the Westmount area, Strathmore Lakes, and Wildflower areas, as well as to provide backup pumping capacity for the other reservoir. So I agree. There's definitely financial considerations we're going to have to discuss long and hard at the workshop in the fall here. We do have a budget for this in the 2011 budget, so this is budgeted for within our current budget. It's not an incremental project by any means. And it's reflected obviously within the budget and taxes and whatnot, but beyond that in 2012, that's where the tough discussion is going to occur.
This first step, if it does pass tonight, with this proposal, will that benefit future development in the west side as well?
Oh, yeah, it's a requirement.
Yeah.
But that's up to, we got 400 homes to go before we have to really do something.
The 400 homes, and everybody wants to know how many homes can we build before we can't build anymore. Every home that we bring online increases our risk, right? So it's a comfort level. How comfortable are you willing to get with the risk, right? So the 400 is just it's not as though the system's going to fail at 400. We could go to 0 days of storage and just pump the ECRW directly into the pipeline, right? But you've got so much risk at that point. At some point, we also cross that fire protection and fire underwriters insurability perspective, where then no one can get any fire insurance because the town doesn't provide adequate fire insurance, right? So there's hard risks and there's soft risks. That 400 is a very soft risk. It's that threshold that we've said, we've assumed some risk, we're okay with this level of risk. Any more than that, can we really do that? So it's not as though the system's going to fail, it's just how much risk are we really willing to take on here? And I guess I don't feel that the design ties our hands. By starting the design, if anything, we're cutting 5 months off the time that it will take to construct, right? Because if we don't do anything, it's going to take us 5 months longer, and then we'll be putting a moratorium on development and saying we can't do anything here because we're at our peak. Right? So,
We don't need a moratorium on development.
Councilor Best.
Earlier you had mentioned on-site levies or off-site levies, pardon me. I just wanted you to expand on that, what that's covering.
Off-site levies will fund the project, the design as well as construction.
Okay.
But we do not currently have a water reserve sufficient to fund the project.
No, I understand that. No, it's just I just wanted to clarify as far as what the off-site levies are going to cover.
Okay. This is a future
Absolutely.
population.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You all heard the motion, there's no further discussion or questions.
Your worship,
Yes.
can we put an amendment to that motion?
I suppose we can, yeah.
I'd like to amend that motion so we delay the motion that's on the floor until we get to the fall workshop so we can get more into this and get more information on it.
Is that legal?
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
We used to table those motions.
Yeah, that's what we can't do.
Your worship, to Jesse, how long do we have to give them? We got a month or two?
Well, in their project schedule, they were starting in September. The one aspect that becomes a bit of a factor is the construction period. We don't want to be pouring concrete in the middle of winter in this thing. The good thing about this schedule is that we complete all concrete work in the summer months, which is ideal in terms of pouring and curing and whatnot. Obviously, we're not talking. If we were talking about a delay of you could start to jeopardize some of that when you get into a fall construction with a winter pour.
Unless we delay this whole thing, we could pass it and then say we're gonna hold off until next fall to start the development, the design of it, and then it would just delay everything by 1 year, but the construction part would still occur during the summer months. If we decided we wanted to do the design study started September 2012.
With a similar, just bump, if they bumped it here.
Because we were still protected by this price.
Not by this price.
No.
No, we would have to retender, which is the exercise that we did this year.
And all the work you would have done for this year would be in vain.
Yeah, I guess in terms of level of effort for us, it's not, review.
It's for us and for the people who tendered, right?
And this is the second go
Yes,
around for these.
exactly.
This isn't the first go around, so I'm sure that there'd be some frustration in the consultant world.
Absolutely.
We would be opening pricing and opening tenders and then not awarding 2 years in a row. And again, the risk goes up the longer we wait.
So we do this design project, okay, of the tank.
Mm-hmm.
It follows right away with starting construction on a scheduled date. Did it have to be tendered that way?
It does, no, we don't have to tender.
We don't have to start the construction then.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
One possibility that was discussed casually, okay, the total price here is $898,000. That includes some project management type of aspects of it. If we just tendered the design for $500,000 or $600,000, we could have that done. But if we tender all of it and we stall for a year afterwards, we've lost $200,000 or $300,000.
That's what I was getting at. Let's enter the design of the project only. How much would that cost us? I thought that's what we're doing.
Well,
I thought that's what the request was originally.
the design element will be in 2001. So that we have a capital project for 2011 for design, and that's a $500,000 capital project. Right? What we want to do, we don't want to have to go back to tender for project management services. So you don't want to have one firm designing it and then another firm implementing the design of that firm, because you'll get into all kinds of, why did you do it this way? Why did we do it that way? Why didn't we do this? You want the same project management team managing the project so that it's not a communication nightmare, basically. In our tender, we have the line, the town reserves the right to award a contract in whole or in part. So we do have the ability to award all or some of the tender.
I'm getting at it, okay, I think the Council Rempel was kind of referring to this, okay, we do the design of the project only, like what it looks like and the construction, the materials and everything else.
Right.
And then that's in 2012. And if we want to delay the construction of it to 2013, 2014, that's what I'm getting at.
That has the potential to get us into trouble with the engineering firm as well. Similar to what we went through with the wastewater treatment plant, in that we were having discussions with Alberta Environment and there was a delay. We ended up paying some pretty heavy delay charges to Maple Riders.
Yes.
In the form of the limited notice to proceed.
No, but we haven't given them the project yet.
Well,
So
I understand that, but if we do the design and then we wait for construction, we're kind of, stringing Associated Engineering along.
well, we may have to wait anyway if we don't have the 10 million.
So I understand that.
If we don't have the 10 million, we're going to have to wait anyway. And we don't have it at this point, and that's what I'm really concerned about.
We haven't discussed a partial award with Associated Engineering in terms of just this awarding design. Just because one of the lessons learned from last year's tender was that that concern of if we only award a portion of it, do we have to go back to tender to award a second portion? Because the scope of services crosses that threshold associated with our New West Trade Partnership Agreement and things along those lines, where it's an unawarded service, right, that you're then saying you're not going to do, you'll do it later. But do you need to tender or not for that next award, right? And we don't want to tie our hands, I guess, that way.
But we're forcing ourselves into doing the $10 million project the way we're going right now. I can see that happening. Yes, we are.
I don't see how we're doing that. We're awarding the service.
We don't have the 10 million.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, we're forcing ourselves to find the 10 million that we don't have.
We have to find it though, Your Worship, because we have to do this.
This has to be done.
I mean, we can't believe,
Yeah,
this
borrow.
can't be put off.
110% debt. Go ahead. Anybody else? We don't have the money. I mean, Councilor Best.
The motion before us is not for construction. The motion before us is simply for doing the project of and design of. I think right now that we're talking about something that is not on the floor before us, and as far as the $10 million. What's on the floor before us at this point is the design of this unit, and we're looking at $898,000. We're not looking at $10 million at this point.
Councilor.
But having said that, the actual design cost is $500,000.
In 2011.
And then there's an additional $300,398 in 2012. For design costs only.
For project management.
For project management.
Well, some of that design cost is going to carry into, they're not anticipating they'll have the design completed by December 31st, 2011. So I just did some quick numbers here. The design elements that includes all the project management, all of the design, preliminary design and detailed design, totals $491,761. So then the remaining $400,000 is for resident engineering during construction, post-construction effort, and engineering services during construction. So
I want this project to get underway as much as anybody. But like we say, we're adding only 2 days of water time to us, which is construction isn't going forward. We got 18 starts this year. And I know we'll get an industrial park maybe hopefully next year, but we don't know. I'm just really concerned about we're forcing ourselves into a corner of borrowing money here we don't have. Councilor Allen?
That last figure that you gave just for the design, $471,000, and then the excess, the other $400,000, whatever. That's basically what I interpret as a retainer for these project managers when the project goes to construction. Does that sound correct? Or?
Depending, I mean, that would be something we'd have to discuss with Associated Engineering, because obviously they tendered on the project in its whole, in its entirety. We do have the clause that says we have the ability to award part or all of the tender. I guess if council is concerned around awarding the entire scope of work and tying our hands to then be building a $10 million reservoir next year, we could award the design services alone, right? The $491,000, which is already budgeted for in the 2011 budget year.
But there's no guarantee if we did that way, there's no guarantee that Associated would be the project manager afterwards.
And that's, I don't.
See, I wouldn't want to upset Associated.
Right.
Just take the designs and give them to somebody else.
Yeah, and I guess we'd have to look at some of our requirements related to awarding partial tenders as well, right? In terms of how we then award the next phase of the project.
I would be happy with the $491,000 the design of the project if we had the right to delay the rest of the project, the construction of it for 2 years in the contract. Give us that right with Associated.
Don't we have that right now?
Well, we have, there's no guarantee that the pricing is going to be the same, right?
Well, I understand the pricing part. I mean, we understand that. I mean, that's a give and take. It could be down.
Right.
But you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Does council understand what?
Do we not have that guarantee now, though?
No, we only have a guarantee that they're, well, I guess in terms of the pricing, they're only giving us a guarantee on pricing until December 31st of next year. If we award the entire contract, obviously they're gonna see it through to its completion, which is projected to be in 2013.
Councilor Hamilton.
So we just awarded the design aspect to Associated. They can say, no, we don't want a contract, they can walk away.
They could very well do that, yes.
And that's okay too.
Then we would,
For one year.
That's, yeah, but
Yeah, well, I agree with all the comments here too, but, you know, I'm worried about, fire protection and, everything else that, we discussed here, so.
how did the motion read? Who made the motion? How did it read? The recommendation? Can we add to that motion, would you agree with that, Councilor Hamilton, that they give us the right of 2 years to start the project?
I think we'd have to discuss that.
Yeah,
With the contract, we can't,
Associates approval before.
yeah, we can't say that in an award. I guess it could be a conditional award based on their acceptance of,
Yes, that's based on their acceptance.
yeah.
Is that okay with everybody?
It's 2 years to start construction.
Yeah.
We're
Let's
gonna
decide whether we can start construction. We gotta find the money.
We're gonna find 10 million in 2 years?
Well, we're gonna find it sometime, like you say. So we haven't got it today, this is a tough,
We're gonna have to do it at some point.
Yes.
Whether it's now or later.
Councilor Rico.
At least the good thing about 2 years from now, there'll be new council sitting here, so we'll be.
Councilor Rico.
If we don't proceed with this, there's a number of things that we're faced with. One is there might be a lack of fire protection. We're cutting down our number of days of water supply for the community. And thirdly, if we don't proceed with this in a timely manner, we might be forced to put on a building moratorium.
I think we'll also besmirching our own name by, in the engineering community.
There's lots of engineers out there.
Well, yeah, I know, but this will be the second year in a row that we've done this, and if we just,
And that's not my biggest concern. It's protection for our citizens.
Absolutely.
So we can't add the 2 years to it.
Well, I would say that we could add that as a condition.
Yes.
Yeah,
Would you be in favor of that, Councilor Hamilton?
I guess, yeah, maybe.
Is that deal?
That you're-
Friendly amendment.
Yeah, we could do that.
They may not.
Then it'll be up to the engineers if they will agree to it.
And that's fine.
And if not, it's gotta come back.
That's right, but it's in their court.
So just, I guess for clarity, what you're recommending is that the entire scope of work be awarded with a condition that we be granted 2 years to start construction
Yes,
from the time of award.
yes.
So that if we award all, the whole scope of work this evening, 2 years from now would be the latest we would start construction.
That's right. Is council in favor of
And that 10 million could go to 215 million by then.
that? No, because it's
That's something to change.
I don't know that they can't comment on construction value.
Yeah.
yeah, it could go down also.
I don't think they would give us a guarantee on pricing
No.
for the 2 years.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
But we haven't got the money either. We can box ourselves in over it if we can't do it.
Right.
So we have to look at it, am I wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't vote it all.
But we don't do it, we don't,
So,
nothing changes. Strathmore doesn't change.
if you want to definitely be sure that you're not gonna be here to borrow the whole works and would be 110% in debt, you can be sure you want to be in that chair.
I would sooner see a full scope awarded with an amendment in the event that we delay, so that we can continue some consistency. Like if we proceed with the design this evening, design as though we're building next year, in the event that we can't secure the 10 million for construction, at least we've retained an engineering firm to design and build, or assist with build. And then if the construction costs or if the engineering costs go up between the time that we finish our design to the time that we build, and an amendment has to be done to the award that we do this evening, if that happens, then it's just an amendment. It's not, we've already awarded the contract. It's just the pricing, we can't hold the pricing for 2 years, so we have to, I'd say there'd have to be a clause in the contract that would say, in the event that construction is delayed for a 2-year period, the consultant has the ability to bring forward a recommended increase relative, or decrease relative to the associated costs for construction engineering.
Because I know that the reason I say that is that construction costs in developments have gone down in the last year.
Concrete costs haven't.
Well, no, but there's other things that have gone down.
Yeah, I mean, this is all concrete.
Yeah, I know that.
That's gonna be a lot of our cost is concrete, obviously.
Councilor Hamilton, are you in favor of that amendment?
Yeah, the friendly amendment would be that the construction be delayed for a 2-year period from the date of tender award.
For a maximum.
Can we say potentially, like something?
For a maximum of 2 years.
We may, Mel's working on the financing, we may come up with a solution here for keeping this on track.
It may be, we're just saying maybe.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
with maximum of 2 years.
We have the right to delay for.
Right.
Maximum of 2 years.
Yeah. Y'all heard the motion? Any more further discussion?
I just want to get the motion from
Yeah, I'll read it.
Jen. Here, we'll let Jen read the motion. If she could.
That council award the Wildflower Reservoir Engineering Services contract to Associated Engineering with the condition that construction may be potentially delayed for a maximum of 2 years for an amount not exceeding $898,158, and that the mayor and CA will authorize to sign the contract on behalf of the council.
Happy with that?
Can't guarantee they will be, but.
Well,
Tell them why.
Well, yeah, and we've had a discussion, we've met with them on a couple occasions to discuss this project. They're aware of the situation. That wouldn't come as a surprise, I don't think. It's just what is the response.
if we can find the money, we're gonna move forward, right?
It starts to impact resource availability as well, obviously, right? If they have engineering staff that they then have to dedicate to other projects because they've gone out and tendered other projects to fill that gap, they may not have the same availability a year or whatever down the road when we start construction. So it's tough for them to commit to that, so we'll have to have that discussion. But that's a reality.
My logic is that I'd rather take that risk, which I'm sure will be there, as opposed to saying we're gonna borrow it, find the 10 million when we don't know what we've got to give it. We just don't know. To me, it's the better risk of the two, the less of the two evils. We're on, Councilor Michael, or what?
Good.
Okay, y'all heard the motion, all in favor? I went up much to my opposition outside it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
863,
Sorry, Your Worship, I know I'm out of school, but the Ridge Road improvements, Jesse, were you going to talk on this?
It was
full.
this one, yeah.
Thank you, sorry about that, guys.
Don't let it happen again.
First meeting and all.
Started already.
861. Sorry.
There's a 10 million right there.
Oh, I'd love to get 10%. I don't see anything negative towards us if we do that, if we make a motion to back him up, or, does council see any problem with that?
What's this guy smoking?
Well, we gotta try someplace. Don't be negative, you should have went to the court this morning. Okay. Looking for a motion to support him.
You bet.
Calgary Alderman Peter DeLong and his quest.
For 10% of,
10% of
royalties.
that's revenue.
If you're looking for a motion, I think it's probably the last paragraph on page 67. I don't think we have to do that, whereas it's.
She's saying the same thing. On a per capita basis, right? As per the last paragraph. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Page 69.
Don't be as long as Jesse was.
Please.
Oh, you're still here.
Thank you, Richard. The long-form standard development agreement that's used in the case of subdivision has been referred to the town's legal counsel for a comprehensive review and updating. That's still with legal counsel. In the meantime, the Planning and Development Department has requested some specific updates to the agreement and policy that is under. That can be by resolution. In addition to the specific sections that are outlined within the recommendation, we would also ask that council add to section 2.2.1 of the policy the words or as GAO's request. We respectfully request a resolution to policy specifically to add.
Thank you. Y'all heard the question? Any questions, council? Not, looking for a motion.
Your worship, I would move that council amend policy 6602 respecting development agreements by resolution in accordance with the reports that have been provided.
And with your added. All right. Thank you. All heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 98, page 87.
If you refer to page 90 of this message, we have an email from a local developer who has asked if the department to take a look at the possibility of new community plans. And he has expressed an interest in getting involved in making this happen in the community. So we provided a couple of examples. The first is a student copy well that is a plan from the town of Oakville outlining the new communities in the direction. And the second one is one that's found in the city of Strathmore. The recommendation of the Planning and Development Department is that the department be directed to encourage the private sector initiation of a program with assistance from the department. And the department will then assist with things like regulations, working with site selection, dealing with Alberta transportation and but we would recommend that the project be primarily private sector.
Be what?
Private sector. The developers.
Great idea.
But you're saying that it would cost $600 to $1,000?
That's the number that has been provided by the developer. And the recommendation is that the development community lead the charge and the Planning and Development Department is not with financing and not with project management, but with things like site selection and regulation.
So the dollar figures shown are for the developers.
That's our recommendation.
But it's our neighborhood too. Why can't we assist with a little more?
As far as I'm aware, Your Worship, I don't believe we have a budget for this particular program this year. If you want to take a look at requesting funds and budgets for 2012.
Councillor.
I'm just, the only question I had was, and I think it was a question that was raised in some of the items for consideration, if I remember correctly, is would this only deal with new neighborhoods, or I think was that an issue that was yet to be discussed as to whether or not we're dealing with older neighborhoods as well?
That was one of the questions that we'd like council to address at the point that the project moves forward, if it moves forward. Another one of the questions was whether they could be cited along with the directional signage that Community Futures is working on. And we have spoken with the representative of Community Futures about that. it's a possibility, but it's not likely that the locations will necessarily align.
I believe we have a responsibility in helping with this because the existing communities need to be promoted as well as the newer ones will be. And so you might be very right in maybe bringing this to the fall workshop and you get some money for the budget for 2012 and delay this project for 6 months.
Oh, I don't know if I'd want to delay it. I think we have somebody willing to do it now, and why not let them get at it, and then we can follow this.
One at a time, please, one at a time.
Yeah, and if we could piggyback onto that project, that would be fine, sure.
So what are your suggestions, Councillor Randall?
Well, if they wanted to proceed with the project, and if we were able to piggyback onto the project in 2012 when we have something in the budget for it.
I would like to work with them on it, and it's just financially, I think it's our responsibility. And I would include all neighborhoods, old and new. Councillor Best.
I think my take on this after listening to what other council members have said is that we go with this as is and encourage them as such, and then in the future we can do our own if need be. But I think if we have a private sector who wants to do this right now, that we ought to be giving them all the encouragement we can.
Yes.
Councillor?
Yep.
Any further comments? We need a motion.
I'd move that, as this initiative would be at the request of a private sector firm, council directed the department to discuss the matter further with the developer in the interest of developing a private sector-driven neighborhood signage program. The department would assist with information on municipal and provincial regulations and permits in the site selection,
For all neighborhoods, could be added in.
Well, whichever neighborhoods the private sector is interested in doing. And then I think we'll leave the door open for
We're going to do the rest.
planning grants to come in after.
Okay. Y'all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Citizen 99, Citizen Month Award, 9693. Councillor Randall.
Waiting with the figures there.
Citizen of the Month for September is Roger Nelson. I don't remember when I first met Roger, but it was a long time ago. Roger is an ex-counselor, ex-school teacher, dedicated parent, and a valued volunteer. I worked with Roger in town council for 7 years. Roger is without a doubt the hardest working counselor I ever worked with. Roger was a tireless motivator and true ambassador for the town of Strathmore. Roger is a hands-on dedicated volunteer and has spent countless hours working with community groups for the betterment of our town. Roger was a school teacher in Strathmore for 35 years and has left a lasting impression on most of his students. One former student wrote, "As a former student and graduate, I know firsthand about the care and hard work that he puts into everything he does. He made it possible for me to finish school as he has done for so many other students." Mr. Nelson retired from teaching at the end of June, but not from public service. It is with great appreciation for what Roger has done for this community that I nominate him as Citizen of the Month for September 2011.
Well, congratulations, Roger. He's not here, but congratulations, and well said, John.
Yeah, and happy retirement, Roger.
Happy retirement.
He's now painting houses.
Oh. 9:10, who had that one?
And I'd like to move that council accept Roger Nelson's citizen of the month for September 2011.
You all in favor? Carried. Councilor Coble.
19.1, Your Worship. A couple weeks ago, I found a little sign on on our homepage and something about Facebook, so I tried getting on and eventually did get on. And lo and behold, I found this wealth of information that's being entered by Jen Cuthbertson, one of our support service personnel. And this is a site that anyone going to is going to be kept up to date and really up to date. Like on a daily basis as to what's going on in town in regards to closures and repairs on roads, and it's just absolutely a fantastic site. I'm a little concerned that we only have 80 people following this site, and I would encourage anybody that's interested in what's happening in town, and this is also an opportunity to supply comment, etc. To just go to our homepage. The Facebook logo now is much bigger and much easier to click on, and I just want to bring that to everybody's attention that we do have this fantastic site, and my compliments to administration for getting this done.
Thank you. Nothing from administration and committee and department reports. We're going to change that a little bit tonight. If you're on several or more than one committee, I'm going to ask you to do them all at once. And then starting with Councilor Bob Sobel, you give us all your committee reports.
I can do that, Your Worship. For Family Center Advisory Board, there was no meeting. For Strathmore Wheatland Addiction Team, Calgary Regional Partnership, SGC Arts and Recreation Foundation, and Hope Bridges Society Community Arts Center, there were all no meetings in August. With regards to the Centennial Day time capsule, the Centennial Committee continued to wait for a permanent plaque which will replace the temporary one which is now covering the time capsule location. Monies for this project have been budgeted, and we're simply waiting to see if we can acquire a plaque that will be still durable yet more reasonably priced than the estimates we now have. Gala preparations continue and all is in order. To date, over 1/3 of the tickets have been sold, and I would remind everyone that you have less than a month to get your tickets, as the sale of tickets will stop on October 5th. The date for the gala is October 15th. Lastly, I would like to report that as a result of the efforts of Craig Arnold, the town's IT person, the chimes for the clock located in front of the Heritage Times Square is now working. Beginning tomorrow, train whistle will mark the arrival of midday. And lastly, another committee that arose in the month of August, and therefore council is not aware of it, is called the Walkability Roadshow. Earlier last month, I was asked by administration to attend a meeting which was being hosted by HEAL, which is a group of Strathmore citizens that promote healthy eating and active living. One of their members, Lisa Sater, came upon a program sponsored by Alberta Health, which focuses on raising the profile of walking in various communities in Alberta, and in fact all of Canada. The goal of the pilot project is to support change in 3 communities that improves walkability and encourages their citizens to choose to walk. As a result of Lisa's efforts in this matter, Strathmore has been chosen as one of those 3 communities in Alberta where this program will take place. September 26th, the town will host a workshop put on and financed by Alberta Health, which will see experts in walking initiatives and programs meeting with various members of this community, including town of Strathmore personnel, in an effort to examine and make recommendations to promote and facilitate walking in our town. The workshop will carry on to the 27th of September, where a hands-on study of our walking system and our plans for the future will be examined. The founder of Walk 21, who's the beginner of this walking phenomenon or effort, states that walking is the first thing an infant wants to do and the last thing that an old person wants to give up. It's convenient, it needs no special equipment, is self-regulating and inherently safe. Walking is as natural as breathing. In an effort to demonstrate council's support for this project and for the concept of recognizing walking as an important method of transportation, I would move that we endorse the International Charter for Walking, which focuses on creating healthy, efficient, and sustainable communities where people choose to walk.
I'm just wondering why they wouldn't have asked me. It's obvious I do a lot of walking.
Yes, they did.
Anyway, you heard the motion. All in favor? Carried.
The municipal clerk has the actual, what is it called again? Charter, your worship, and I would welcome you to sign it at your convenience, and I'll ensure that that it's presented to the group on the date of the function of the 26th of September.
Thank you. That's it.
That's
Any
it.
questions? If not, any questions, Councillor Rocky?
Your worship, Councillor Sobel touched on Centennial Day Committee. United Way, we had no meeting in August. Wedemza, Councillor Hamilton will take care of that. Handy Bus Association, we had a meeting August 29th at the hospital. Financials were presented up to June 30th, 2011, presented by Mel. We're in a much better position than we were June 30th, 2010. If you recall, we were in a deficit position last year. We're still waiting for casino dollars to come in, which will put us in a better spot yet. The feeling on the board was positive. The position looks good for the remainder of 2011 as long as we stay structured. September 1st, we were supposed to be implementing a new fee structure. However, we have to get approval from the Operations Authority before we can do that. We're averaging approximately 300 trips a month now with the handy buses. Keep in mind with Sage Court, is it Sage Court, the new complex?
Yeah.
Open up here sometime between now and the end of the year, that number could go up quite a bit. Hetty is doing an excellent work on reports, implementing before trip and after trip maintenance schedules on all vehicles, thereby reducing costs. We're watching our wage costs very closely regarding use of full-time or part-time drivers. The board fully believes and understands we're in the right direction and we can't let up. We are not anticipating a deficit for 2011. Keeping in mind the mandate for the Handy Bus Society is transportation for seniors, disabled, and medicals, firstly. Secondly, there is quite a bit of interest in social groups looking for bus transportation. We are looking at that, but again, that's subject to the Operation Authority.
Thank you. There's no questions to Councillor Rocky. Councillor Hampton.
Put down the contract negotiations was held on the 25th of August. An agreement was reached. The same to be ratified by the board at the next regular meeting, September 22nd, 2011. Chamber of Commerce, August 9th, 2011, potluck supper meeting was held at the Chamber's President's residence of Steve Jeffries, south of Carsland. Normal business was discussed with the hiring of a secretary being a main focus. A qualified candidate has been identified and needs approval by the board at the next meeting. This morning, the mayor and I attended a breakfast meeting with the Chamber, held by the Chamber, and with Mr. Doug Griffiths as guest speaker talking about 13 ways to kill a community. Very informative. Mr. Griffiths is a candidate for the Conservative leadership and is currently a sitting member of the legislature. Communities in Bloom, August 10th, 2011, the provincial judges attended Strathmore to judge our community. We are awaiting their decision as to where we placed in the number of blooms we obtained, 5 being the maximum. It looks like we have a very good possibility of obtaining that goal. Citizen on Patrol, August 16th, 2011, a general meeting was held and there has been a request for a new member joining. A short report was given on the patrols were made by the members. Board or council, no meeting held.
Thank you. No comments or questions from Councillor Hamilton. I would like to say that I don't have any meetings, didn't have any meetings either, but I would like to take this opportunity to announce to the public that I had the opportunity or request or the opportunity to ride on the riverboat, Strathmore Fire Department's riverboat, and a couple of weeks ago, and with Acting Chief John Silva, and I brought a person along with me, a developer in the community, Ken Struss from Cancorp. We rode for a couple of hours, and when he got back, he said to Mr. Silva that he says, "What would you guys need for this boat?" He says, "I will donate. I will give you a $10,000 check for anything that you need for this boat, up to a total of $10,000." And this is going to be presented tomorrow at the fire hall about 3 o'clock. So I would think that is a significant amount of money that man donated for a riverboat ride.
It's not at the fire hall.
Well, where is it?
It'll be at the Wildflower Ranch.
Okay, sorry, my mistake, yeah. So the Wildflower Ranch, if anybody wants to attend, send us when the check will be presented. Thank you very much. The man's got to be commended on that, I think. Next.
Your Worship, WFCSS met in August. However, I was unable to attend due to a prior appointment. And the housing also had a meeting in August, which was attended by Councillor Fuel. I unfortunately had previous commitments which I could not break. The naming committee did not meet. Happy Gang did not meet. Community Futures Wild Rose met on the 1st of September at 7 o'clock. They reported on the Alberta Youth Entrepreneur Camp. 4 youth and 1 supervisor went, camp supervisor, all of who gave glowing reports of a fun and educational camp. Their Heritage Day barbecue was a huge success with between 250 and 300 people in attendance. The Community Futures Alberta Symposium will be held September 29th to October 1st, and I will be attending that convention. Canadian Badlands will be leasing space for their office at the Community Futures Wild Rose office as they are in negotiations also with Bow Valley College to do the same. The rural Alberta business centers are entertaining 5 rural offices, and the Canadian Badlands is looking for a new executive director, and Mr. Bob Davis of Rosebud has been named the tourist development director. Their next meeting is October the 6th at 7 p.m.
Thank you. If there's no questions of Councillor Best, Councillor Rempel.
Didn't have any meetings last month.
Thank you very much. Someone move that we...
I would so move.
Administration.
Yes, on economic development. I've been very concerned that there's not many homes being built. The real estate economy is pretty low and all. So today, I sent a letter, an email, to all the builders, developers, and realtors, saying if you've got some ideas, please get a hold of me. Let's talk on how we can work on things. Also mentioned in the email that one of the developers proposed to provide a fancy bus to take clients around, realtors around, whoever, to look at the various empty show homes that we have in town. It's interesting, within less than a half hour, I had a phone call from one of them, and he had been talking to some others that quick. So the word got around really fast, and they're saying, yes, somehow we've got to work together to try and improve things. Heard on the news at 6 o'clock tonight, Calgary, things are really going fast in there. Maybe some of you heard. And Okotoks and Airdrie, things have been going fast. So somehow we've got to figure out how we can get things picked up here, because it is slow.
I certainly agree. If we never get that water reservoir tank built.
Don't go there.
No, on a serious note, it is a big concern, and I think your email was well worded. I really appreciate that, and I think it should get some action. If not, we should get our heads together and form a way and see what we can do about this. We've got to do something. Any comments? Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. All in favor? Carried. Page 105, Canadian Chrome Hall of Fame Society. I would like to attend that. You never know, I may meet somebody that's got $10 million to give us.
In that case, Your Worship, I would move the council delegate Mayor Steve Graycheck to attend the Canadian Petroleum Hall of Fame Society 2011 induction dinner on September the 22nd, 2011 in Calgary, Alberta.
Thank you. Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Justice Street, page 109. Looking for a motion.
Make a motion that council proclaim the week of November 13th, 20th as Restorative Justice Week for 2011.
Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, page 113.
Your worship, I would move the council proclaim the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. 117, Covenant Health.
Your worship, I'll make a motion that council proclaim September 28th, 2011 as Catholic Sisters Legacy Recognition Day.
Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Southern Alberta Rural Cultural Diversity, page 120, Symposium, page 121.
Your worship, this is during the UMA, so I would move that council accept this request as information.
Nobody's gonna go to it? Yeah.
The question through the chair to administration, it shows the date, but not the time, for the mayor to attend.
The mayor is not gonna be in the country.
In Vegas trying to get $10 million.
Hey, is there a time, Council Rempel, or could you go?
I don't know what time.
I believe the time is 9 a.m.
Could you two work that out? Maybe if Councilor Rempel could go.
We'll talk.
Let's talk.
Councilor Rempel, will you be at a UMA?
No.
This is on Thursday. September 29th is on a Thursday.
No, Friday.
Is it Friday?
No, what is it?
October the 1st is
September 29th is on a Thursday, and that's when we're meeting with Alberta Transportation.
Yep.
That morning. And I was going to attend that meeting. We'll work on it.
Okay. You'll handle it, and we don't need any motion.
Okay.
Thank you. It would be nice though if somebody did go, if we could.
Is everybody else going to AUMA?
Nobody's
I
going.
will not be, but I'm going to,
Nobody going to
Or
AUMA?
two are going, is that correct? For the whole time, or
Yes.
both of you? Yeah,
So you guys are all out of town?
yeah. It's just the way it worked out. Is administration going, or?
So what, AUMA?
Yeah.
I'll be there all the time.
If nothing else, could they allow administration to go to this symposium? Could you go, maybe?
Yes.
So just looking for the welcome address.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, yeah, Linda and I will discuss it.
okay. Excuse me.
Your worship, I would move to adjourn.
No, I'm with Kansas Stewart. You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.